Hello everyone, welcome to another video. And in this video, we are basically going to talk about chapter number 16 from the book Psychology of Money, written by Morgan Housel. And the name of the chapter is You and Me. And we're going to start off with bubbles, the financial bubbles, and how do they happen. So the dot-com bubble caused, like when it imploded, it reduced the household wealth by $6.2 trillion. And then when the housing bubble burst, it caused additional $8 trillion in reduction of household wealth. And the questions that we usually ask ourselves, or we should ask ourselves, is why do they happen, and better yet, why do they still keep on happening? And and the most important question of all is why don't we actually learn the lesson from them? And the simple answer to these questions would be that it is because humans are greedy, and it's part of our nature that we are greedy, basically. Greediness is part of human nature. But as we saw in chapter 1, and which was titled No One is Crazy, people usually make decisions that they later regret. And the reason behind that is they haven't done the research. There is a bit of lack of information, and they usually make these decisions without any logic. But the thing is, when they make those decisions made sense in that moment, right? So the thing is, like, just blaming greed, um, and saying that it is the reason behind the financial bubbles, we are basically overlooking the fact that why do people make decisions that look actually rational to them, but in hindsight, they are greedy decisions. So the question is, why don't we actually learn from these bubbles? Um, and let's say, and the reason is because bubbles are not like cancer. So when it comes to cancer, and so when it comes to cancer, you can do a biopsy, and you can actually get a diagnosis, um, and see if you actually have it or not. But when it comes to learning lessons from the bubbles, it is just like a rise and fall of a political party. And in that case, what happens? The outcome is pretty obvious. In hindsight, it's really obvious. But the reason why the political party is rising or falling is not very obvious, right? And to answer the question, why do actually bubbles happen in the first place? It's like asking, why do wars occur? There are reasons to why wars occur. Most of them are actually uh, controversial, but almost all of them are conflicting. There is one idea in finance that has done incalculable damage. And the idea is that any asset has the same price in a world where people have different goals and different time horizons. Let's take an example of Google stock. Let's say you want to buy a Google stock and you want to figure out how much price you want to pay for that stock, right? And that's going to depend on what is your time horizon, for how long you want to be involved in that stock, right? So let's say if you want to keep the stock for the next 30 years, and then to figure out what the price should be or how much you should pay for that stock, then you can probably look at the Google's discounted cash flow for over the next 30 years, right? And then let's say you want to be invested in that stock for the next 10 years. And in that case, what you would do is basically you will look at how is the outlook of the tech industry going to be in the next 10 years, and how capable is Google's management to deliver on their vision, right? And then let's say if you want to invest in the stock for only 1 year, and then in that case you will have to look at to figure out the price. You will have to look at uh, the sales cycle of that company of Google, and then you're also going to look at if there's going to be a bear market in the next year, right? But then there is a fourth case where you want to do day trading with the Google stock. In this case, it doesn't really matter what is the price of the stock, right? As long as you make money between now and lunchtime. So it doesn't really matter for a day trader what is the price going to be. We can look at the tech bubble in the 1990s, specifically the Yahoo stock in the 1999. So people looked at the revenue like it was zillion times and zillion times more than before, and the valuation actually did not make any sense. And if you were a day trader in those days, it doesn't really matter for you. It did not actually matter for you that whether the price was $5 or $500, because your goal and your time horizon was so short that what you really wanted was to make enough money in that given day. There is a iron rule in finance, and that rule is money is gonna chase returns to the extent that it can actually. So as long as it can attract or chase returns, then it will keep on doing that. And the thing with the bubbles is basically what happens is the day traders are looking for a stock or an investment that has momentum, and they don't want that momentum to go on for a long time because they are basically day traders. They just want the momentum to be there for a limited amount of time. And then what happens is that that momentum actually attracts more day traders, short-term traders with smaller time horizons. And when that happens, more and more day traders keep on coming in, and eventually what happens is that uh, that the number of investors, that the majority of the investors in that particular stock, uh, the makeup of that stock or that investment basically shifts from long-term investors to short-term investors who are there just to make little profit or some profit in a very short amount of time. So in the aftermath of all these things, when the tech bubble actually happened, the common thing to say was that we had too much optimism about the future, about the technological future. But one thing that's also very important to note is that during that time frame, the stock market actually saw a huge change in trading volumes. It went really, really high. And what that means is that people were actually buying and selling the stock during the same day. And they were not actually thinking about keeping the stock for the next 20 years. And in turn, it actually did not matter for them what was the actual price of the stock, because they were invested in that stock for only one day, as we have discussed previously. So the thing is, um, there is a author Maggie Maher who also wrote in her book that during that time frame in the mid 1990s, the press usually had these scorecards, financial scorecards, which they used to publish every year. And during that time frame, during the mid 90s, they were publishing those scorecards every third month, every 3 months. And and that actually caused people um, to be more involved in the to be more involved, and then they actually rushed into buying the stocks, and they usually bought those stocks when they were at their uh, highest price.